Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest at this time is from the OVW. Goes by the name of Randy Terrez. He's joining me right now. What's going on, Randy?
Hey, how's it going, man? What's going on right now?
I'm doing real good, and I just thought I'll let you know I just got your DM on Twitter moments ago, and
Yeah.
as far as you talking like a sailor, man, it's okay, man. There's no FCC, we're not PG or anything. So if you
Yeah,
if
I was concerned about that because I love to cuss, basically.
Hey, it's all good on this show. It's all good on this network. So that
Hmm.
should be no problem whatsoever.
Awesome.
Basically, I just wanted to talk to you about your wrestling career and you being an OVW.
Hmm.
So we'll go ahead and get into that. We'll definitely get into OVW in just a little bit. But how did your wrestling career got started?
Well, before I get into that, I really wanted to send out my personal prayers to the Kenny, the Starmaker Bolin. He's undergoing some health problems right now, and I kind of wanted just to, send out my prayers to the family right now. You know, it's been kind of bugging me because the whole Bolton family is very close to me. I really do appreciate all their work they're doing for me. So I want to send out my prayers to them. And one other thing I do want to say for WWE's Unico right now, he's part of our boys back in El Paso. I'll just say, formally that we're all proud of him.
Most definitely, man. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to the to Kenny as well. I'm a huge fan of him, and I've had a chance to talk to him on a couple of TV tapings. Very nice guy, very
Oh,
nice guy. And I hear he recently retired from OVW, and definitely prayers goes out to him and his family as well. Um,
exactly.
so
Uh, as far as my wrestling, it basically started out back in El Paso, approximately going on 13 years ago, actually. Uh, I started off with an organization called El Paso Wrestling Federation under the training of Hurricane Hector Ringon. Most people use him under for Hector Guerrero, but it's an entirely different person. Hurricane Hector trained by Gory Guerrero himself, trained alongside Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Sr. So the whole family line kind of trickles down into them. Uh, Basically, over there, it was a really strict kind of training. Every time you went in, you had to make sure that nobody really knew that you were a wrestler. You went in there, you had to shut up and just listen, and you didn't learn anything except just learning how to roll, and we just pretty much just tested you out. You weren't allowed to. It was basically like an old school trust issue. We're going to beat the crap out of you. If you can handle it, then we're going to keep you around. And that's a very kind of an old school training method that I still keep pride myself. I hold on to this very day, and I wouldn't change a thing about that. Uh, we started out in El Paso Wrestling Federation. We started out very, very small people. It was mostly a lucha libre organization, and we did a lot of work with wrestlers from Juarez, Mexico. That's really where a lot of my beginning matches really started out. And the style of wrestling over there was a little more cutthroat in the fact that you had to really learn how to protect yourself right away. Otherwise, these guys test and try to hurt you deliberately. You know, And so I had to learn right away that you have to learn how to shoot first and work later on in order to get that respect.
So you mentioned you've been in the business for over about 13 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So considering that, that's definitely longevity on your part. I mean, how does it feel to be around for that long, considering how brutal wrestling can be to a human being's body,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and you put your bodies on the line to entertain the fans. I mean, how does it feel to be in the wrestling business for that long?
Well, it's definitely a challenge. I really have to thank my longevity. Just for based on strictly on my training alone. I had to learn how to really protect myself really well and make sure I didn't hurt anyone on the same process. You know, not really taking too many risks that I shouldn't have. I never touched the drug issue. I never did any of the alcohol. I stayed clean the whole time. No other kind of substance besides any kind of, GNC crap, that the powders that try to, you know, get stronger that way. But it really is just a matter of just trying to take care of your body, trying to work out the best as possible, and being safe in the ring. If people have that same kind of mentality, they're going to protect you as well, and you really wouldn't have anything to worry about. Of course, accidents happen, like the one I sustained too. It's just part of the business. But ultimately, the real key to staying in this business is respect. Um, I grew up in I was working around older veterans that if you did not stand up and shake their hand, they would slam the shit out of you. And you learned really quick whenever someone came in the ring, you stood up right away, shook their hand, and no matter if it was the veteran, the rookie, the referee, or manager, you stood up and you shook everyone's hand. That is just a matter of respect for everyone working because we're putting on a show together. Unfortunately, some of that doesn't really trickle on with these days. I have a lot of wrestlers who go through schools where we don't really know who the teacher is, where that is, and they kind of get their money ripped off. They go for like 6 months and pay $3,000, and they don't have any kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, they do not have a secured organization to work for. They don't have any kind of way to really jump in there, just kind of get their money taken from them, basically. So they do walk out with a lack of respect. They just, they learn how to do a suit to do, and they don't really know what they're doing to protect somebody, or, how to really behave themselves, in their locker room for that matter.
Throughout the years, or pretty much throughout the decades, a lot of people in the Latinos and Mexicans have had very established careers with the likes of a
Mm-hmm.
Rey Mysterio or the Guerrero family, and then you got wrestlers such as Hernandez for the Impact. You got
Mm-hmm.
Alberto Del Rio. You got Sin Cara. I mean, how do you feel about the impact, in the Latino community or the Mexican community, the impact that they have made in the wrestling industry throughout these years?
Wow. It really makes me proud to know that our people are going out there, and I'm not going to, say it any kind of, make it a race thing, but it makes me feel proud that, the little guys, little scrawny guys who are not, 6'6", 300 pounds, built like Dave Bautista, could go out there and they perform a different style and still be entertaining and still be, I guess, a necessary part to that functioning machine that is the wrestling industry. So you have wrestlers like Rey Mysterio, who short little guys do flips and a different style. It provides a different kind of entertainment value that you can't really get when you see traditional American style wrestling.
It's definitely good to see, people like the way Mysterio's, who's in the pretty much late in his career, and yet he's still performing at a high level. It's like he just looks like he never lost a step. He still looks like the same guy that he was back in his ECW and WCW days. He looks like he never lost a step. I mean, whatever the guy's doing, he needs to keep it up, man, because um, you know, you point out, Dave Batista, who's an OVW alumni. It just seems like wrestling nowadays are relying more on the not so big guys. Not no longer the Batistas, the Hogans. It seems like they're relying on the CM Punks, the Daniel Bryans, the Davey Richards. List goes on and on. You being their size and all, how does that make you feel to see wrestling, big time wrestling companies relying on those type of people?
Well, it really puts a reality into this, to the business as far as, you don't have to be a big, strong guy to know how to kick someone's ass. Take MMA as a perfect example. George St. Pierre, he's probably lighter than I am, skinnier than I am, but he could probably kick my ass in 3 seconds, and I wouldn't blame him because the guy's badass. You know, little guys like that who can move around. It's not necessarily they have the bigger they are, it's not going to mean anything these days. You know, but it definitely provides style. Perfect example again would be like Bruce Lee and all his martial arts. He could take down any guy really. And that makes more of a threat and makes you dangerous. So guys like CM Punk who are incredibly talented individuals, they could have a long spent career and taken seriously as a serious competitor.
When you get into the ring with someone that's twice your size, do you get the feeling that maybe they underestimated you because of your size?
Oh, all the time, and I go in there, say, point blank, I love to fight. Somehow or another, I'm going to take this man down. If it's a real fight or it's a tough match, somehow I'm going to get something in there, even if it means I have to just bruise his knuckles with my face. I just love to fight. It, it definitely, it kind of just goes back to my, high school life, middle school life. I was always a little scrawny kid, a little dirty kid who plays video games. I got picked on all the time, and, now it's kind of like payback, and I'm picking on everybody else.
For those who are just tuning in, you are listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio right here on itmiradio.com. As we enter hour number 2 of the show, I'm joined with OVW's Randy Terrez. And speaking of OVW, let's talk about that. And obviously, you are recovering from an injury last time I checked. So what I wanted to ask, how's the recovery coming along, and do you have a timetable for your return?
Well, the recovery's going on great. I've been doing a lot of physical therapy. I go Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm really doing about 2 hours work. It's just kind of nothing but single leg squats, running, jumping. It definitely took a lot of work to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. The injury happened back in April of this past year, and I actually had to wait about 3 months before I actually saw any kind of surgery. I didn't take it as serious when it originally happened. I know that I could not stand immediately, which, it's definitely scares the hell out of you when you've gone this for 13 years and you just hate going to doctors because you just refuse it because you never had health insurance. And that's it's part of my own fault. I was so scared to go and say, hey, I was scared to hear that they're going to tell me my career is over. The reality of the situation, that I've been wrestling for OVW, it's going to be about 2 years now, and I'd say about 90% of the time I had some kind of injury. And the fans didn't know about it, and most of the wrestlers didn't know either. But there was a sprained ankle here, there was a broken rib there, dislocated face. I just didn't tell anybody because I couldn't afford to let anyone know. I hate knowing the fact that someone might think I have some kind of weakness, and I hate making people worry about me. But as far as after the surgery, the ultimate diagnosis with my knee was that I had a completely torn ACL, a completely torn PCL, a partially torn MCL, and meniscus damage, totaling about $60,000 worth of work, which fortunately I was able to get health insurance to kind of cover it. And as far as after the surgery, it was hell because I basically had to learn how to walk again, and it's really unsettling having to sit here, month after month, just staring at the TV, watching wrestling to the point where I couldn't even watch it because I was so upset that I couldn't be up there. I even stopped attending. I was hiding backstage, at OPW for a while. I just could not do it anymore because it just broke my heart to see everyone else do things that I, felt I did it pretty decently, and I just can't do it anymore. And then, by good fortune, the doctors have told me that, you could make it back if you really want to push it. And I've been busting my ass every single day to try to get there. I want to say I'm about 90% fully healed. Just one more step. I'm going to see the doctor December 18th to see any kind of status. Hopefully I can get cleared to hopefully come back in the ring, come January and just hit the ground running. I've been working a lot with Trailer Park Trash, who is director of operations with OVW. The man is an absolute genius, and I thank him, every night. I want to just thank him for letting me just get in the ring, just kind of roll around again.
So once that day comes that you are 100% clear and 100% healthy, getting back in the ring, obviously you are known for high flying maneuvers and everything. Is that going to cause you to tone down the high flying maneuvers? You coming back from multiple injuries, or is that something you still see yourself doing by the time you come back?
Well, I've kept myself pretty hidden from the fans. I've actually have a lot of my fans removed from my personal Facebook page, and it was mostly for privacy reasons than anything. I do keep a lot of the updates really limited for a good reason, because if I can't return completely 100% or even better than I was before, then I don't want to return. Today was kind of, because I was rolling around the ring today, and I had difficulty doing just a basic drop kick. I was able to get up there, but it felt so difficult and uncomfortable for me that it made me scared. Like, how much more of this do I need to wait on? How do I? Is it still worth it? Those thoughts definitely plague my mind every single day. Every step I take, slipping in the shower by accident, and every little tweak, it just makes me worry. But it's made me super cautious. But ultimately, there's nothing going to stop me. As much as my parents would say, "Randy, please quit, go get, quote unquote, the real job," I can't do that. This is something that I've done for 13 years. While you're going to meet a lot of wrestlers who are playing wrestler, and by that I mean that they have their mommies and daddies kind of helping them, pay money to go into a wrestling school, and they could do this on the side while they go to school, whatever. Me personally, it's 13 years where I had to learn how to hustle. I had to learn how to do something. I even quit real jobs just so I could be a wrestler, so I could put food on the table just with this business only. That is my definition of a professional wrestler who makes money with this business. And that's what I've done for 13 years, is just to go out there and perform and take that money and feed myself, feed my dogs and cats, pay my bills. And if I didn't perform, I didn't have heat that day, or I didn't eat, anything. Couldn't feed my dogs. I couldn't, pay any kind of electric bills, or couldn't pay to go to school. So this business is that much important to me, and it's that much important to me to get back at 100%, so I could do what I've been doing, for 13 years more, and then another 13 after that.
It's been about a year now since OVW has become the developmental territory of Impact Wrestling. Obviously, the history that they have with WWE speaks for itself, which is why people call OVW the Harvard of professional wrestling. It's definitely a place you want to go to make that big step into a longevity wrestling career. I mean, that's the list of who's who, especially in the WWE, comes from OVW, and now a lot of people are hoping that they could have the same magic with Impact Wrestling. What's your take on the 1 year between OVW and TNA thus far?
It's definitely a step in the right direction. I mean, OVW just has the history of just making great wrestlers. They have, under the guidance of Danny Davis, who is a genius in his own right. You have, Nick Dinsmore, who's incredibly awesome. He's been training he trains beginners class. We got Trailer Park Trash and training some of the intermediate guys. We also got Rip Rogers, who, as insane as he is a complete genius in this business, and ultimate respect to that man. I've worked with him for about a year, and I've learned so much from him. And many of the wrestlers who are WWE now, Ring of Honor, TNA, have had that experience, and they could really vouch for the training that goes on here, the experiences are here. The current wrestling, the OVW roster right now is incredibly talented. With so many guys who I have memorable matches with that I can't wait to get back in the ring with and just kind of roll around again, because it's just everybody has fun there. On top of that, everyone takes it seriously, and they all want to improve. They all want to get better somehow, because they all ultimately have that big goal, whether it's this company or not. They're all shooting to be the best, and that's what makes me a better wrestler, because I'm working with those people. As far as TNA being involved with OVW, it's definitely the right move. For a lot of these guys, I have a lot of people asking me, hey, how could you get down here? Just make it here. Just make it here. Learn to get better. Get your wrestling license first. And take it seriously, basically.
For people who want to learn more from Randy, you can follow him on Twitter at Randy Terrez. And you do have a Facebook fan page also under Randy Terrez. So check him out on both accounts. And my last question for you, Randy, is what would your advice be to anyone out there that wants to pursue their career as a wrestler?
Wow, there's so much I could say to a lot of these people. Not only have I been a wrestler for 13 years, I've also been a trainer. I've been a promoter and booker for my own promotion, which kind of flopped, but I enjoy teaching in this business more than anything, almost more than performing. But the most important thing I would say is just to humble yourself. You have, so much opportunity. If you keep yourself humbled, you can get further in this business. You could avoid all the quote-unquote politics. You could last a whole lot longer. Perfect example of one of the most humblest, men in this industry is Mike Mondo, which he just had on the show this last week. If anyone has the privilege of ever speaking or wrestling or being around this man, pick his brain, because he is this business. He lives, eats, and breathes this business. And that's the kind of wrestlers you want to be around. But humble yourself and take it seriously. Be dedicated. I know a lot of people have said be dedicated. That's a big part of it. But also be realistic and set your goals straight.
Well said, Wendy. Well said. It was great talking to you, Wendy. It's great to hear that you're in high spirits on your road to recovery. And all I can say is, on behalf of all the OVW fans out there, we definitely are anxiously awaiting your return. We just want to make sure you're fully healthy, you're good to go, and we'll definitely await your return come 2013. But it was great talking to you. Thank you for being on the show, and best of success goes out to you as you enter the new year. And happy holidays to you, and thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on here, man. You guys have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was OVW's Randy Terrez joining me here, right here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.